Hello, good day, everyone. It's Michael. Thanks for joining today. In this series on mental mechanics, we're going to start taking a look at the reason behind many of the practices that you'll see advised for stress relief today. And to help illustrate this point, what I've done here is I've pulled up a Bing search. Now, why do I use Bing? Just so that you can ask me in the comments why I didn't use Google. But what I want to demonstrate here is that I've just done a simple search for stress relief, and you'll see that I've opened up, I've just chosen them in order, right? 16 ways. Here we've got this video on how to reduce stress. I've pulled it up. Mayo Clinic, this very well-minded, this TriCloud. I mean, again, I'm grabbing them in order, even AARP. All right. So within each one of these, there's going to be something about yoga or meditation or mindfulness, right? So let me go ahead and just take a quick look at these. Mindfulness describes practices that anchor you in the present moment. All right. Stress reduction techniques that utilize mindfulness include meditation, yes. Meditation constantly, even for short periods, may boost your mood and decrease anxiety, and a bunch of books have agreed. Great. So they tell you to be mindful. They tell you to practice yoga. These benefits seem related to yoga's effect on the nervous system and stress response. So they don't go into details of why you're doing this. Just go do yoga, go meditate. You'll feel better. Trust me. Right? Here's when I pulled up this video.
3 minutes. By doing little activities.
Basically, the lady's saying stand up and
That's
shake
pretty
yourself
classy
out.
looking. This is something you can do at your desk at work or whatever. Out, get your other leg, shake your leg out.
Again, maybe wonderful, not exactly the best stress relief, at least if you're trying to get down to the nuts and bolts of it. Here's the Mayo Clinic, meditate. All right, focus your attention on a quiet stream of jumbled thoughts. Focus your attention and quiet the stream of jumbled thoughts that may be crowded your mind and causing stress. It can give you a sense of calm and peace. It can so you can practice guided meditation, guided imagery, go out for walks. Again, it's telling you to meditate, but not what the purpose of it is. Are you literally supposed to just sit there in silence and feel better about it? And what's the mechanics behind it? Here's another one. Meditate. Short-term stress relief, as well as lasting stress management benefits. You might develop a mantra and repeat it in your mind. Take a few minutes to practice. When you're focused on the here and now, you won't be able to ruminate on something that's already happened, and you won't worry about something in the future. All right, maybe. I mean, that's, I guess, a little something. This is a little added flavor text. But again, not exactly what the purpose of it is. Meditate. So they suggest that meditation can have measurable physiological health benefits. It talks about some studies, lowers cortisol, hormones. AARP, what are they telling to our older generation, right? Again, I don't think this one specifically said meditate. Let's see. But it did say mindfulness. Be mindful. Whenever you're feeling anxious, practice mindfulness techniques. Teaches you how to stay in the here and now instead of feeling anxiety and uncertainty about the future. So sure, again, so we've gone through all of these, and many of them say, hey, go out there and meditate, but none of them have said what the very simple and straightforward reason is for why it is that we meditate. Now, what made me think about putting this video together was actually an interview I watched with Elon Musk, where he was talking about how the education system and how it's configured these days, and that it doesn't really serve people in how they think and how the mind works. And the analogy that he gave is that if you were in school today to learn how to take an engine apart, you'd first have a semester on screwdrivers and all the different kinds and where screwdrivers were invented and all the different kinds. Then you'd have another semester on wrenches and everything about it, and then finally at the end you would start talking about the engine. Well, that's because we're teaching to the tool and we're not teaching to the problem. And so when we sit there and spend a semester learning about wrenches and learning about screwdrivers without any practical way to apply it, we end up with this mental feeling of, well, what's the point? Why am I learning this? Whereas if you were to do it in the other direction and say, look, we're going to take apart an engine today, and to start we have to remove this, and to do that you need a screwdriver, then you would immediately understand the relevance of the tool and how it equates to the process of taking an engine apart. So in the same way as I was thinking about meditation and what's being left out, some of the keys of why you're doing this are being left out, and I think it's important to know so that you can gain the true benefit of it. So here we go. The reason why you meditate is to establish a difference between you and your thoughts. So what I mean by this is when you sit down in silence and you say, I'm not going to think about anything, I'm going to quiet my mind and I'm going to focus on my breathing. What will inevitably happen is you will have thoughts and you won't realize them at first because again, you're sitting here quiet, you're zen, you're breathing, and then all of a sudden you come into the middle of a thought. You come into the middle of this realization when you're sitting there going, can the Pokemon characters actually fight the Disney characters and who would win? You go, whoa, 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 why am I thinking about this? And what you'll do is you'll return yourself mentally in control. You'll return yourself back to thinking about nothing, focusing on breathing, focusing on a mantra. So some people will go like, in their mind, they'll say things like he hum or she hum or whatever sound they make. The purpose is you're doing something on purpose. You're repeating a mantra. You're focusing on breathing. You're focusing on nothing. You're making an active choice to do something. In the process of making that active choice, thoughts come in. You can think of it as we're on an improv comic stage and people in the audience are yelling out suggestions. Right? Maybe you're a lawyer, you're in a yellow taxi, well, whatever it is. And the people who are on stage, they choose to take those suggestions or not. And sometimes they act on those suggestions and it changes the scene for everyone else around them. But sometimes the suggestions could be ignored. So in the same way, what you're doing through meditation is establishing that your thoughts are not you. They're a thing that happens, but they're not necessarily you. And now, let me clarify that a bit. If I am sitting there consciously trying to solve a problem, I want coffee, I'm out of coffee, I should go get more coffee. Those are all active thoughts in my mind that I'm doing, addressing a situation that I'm in the middle of. But if I'm typing away, maybe trying to make this YouTube video, and all of a sudden I find myself staring up at the ceiling fan and thinking about, when the last time I've cleaned it has been, well, that's an automatic thought that popped into my head that I chose to entertain. I don't have to, and I can bring myself back to the present moment of I'm making this YouTube video to help people. So that is the purpose of meditation, to create that separation. And the reason why this is helpful is, let's say, for example, you have a business and you're interviewing people, and you have a Gen Z person come in, which, if you've watched the news lately, Gen Z is getting a lot of bad rap for, being lazy and entitled and, all these types of things that you may hear. Well, if I'm doing the interview and the Gen Z person sits down and I think to myself, well, here's a lazy Gen Zer. Well, that thought came into my mind, but did I think that on purpose? Am I the type of person who, when someone sits down, I'm casting judgment on them when I really don't know anything about them? At the core of who I am, that's not what I do. I want to speak to people. I want to get to know them. I want to understand the unique features and configurations and thoughts and mindsets and everything that makes up you before I cast any kind of judgment on you. That's what I choose to do. So that means if I sit down in front of someone, a Gen Z person I'm interviewing, and I immediately have, they've got a nose ring, therefore they're entitled, that isn't something that I have to entertain. And in fact, that thought can come into my mind and I can say, I choose not to entertain that thought. That did come in. That's interesting. I know some people believe that. I know that I've seen many news articles lately that might lead me to draw these kinds of conclusions, but I do not have to accept that as truth, as reality. I can make my own decisions. So again, the purpose of meditation in the early stages is to establish that. So sit here, think of nothing, or focus on your breathing, or focus on a mantra, or whatever it is that you do. It doesn't matter. But have a choice of what it is you intend to do. And as you're pulled away, reset yourself. And that's all. When these thoughts happen, don't judge them. Don't say, I'm bad at meditating. Why am I thinking this? And do nothing. Realize that you're thinking about something you choose not to, and return yourself to nothing. Return yourself to your mantra. Return yourself to focusing on the breathing. And over time, you get better and better at it, and you create more of a separation. And what this allows you to do eventually is respond instead of react to external stimulus or external stress. Because if someone comes up to me and says, I need you to work this weekend, and all these thoughts come in, this guy's a jerk, how could they ask me? I had plans, my life sucks, I got to quit my job, and I go into this panic mode. That's how people get into stressful situations, have anxiety, and suffer for a large portion of their life. But when that happens and I'm asked to work this weekend, if I can take a slight moment and go, okay, I feel disappointed, I feel all these things, but I don't have to let them cripple me. I don't have to let them define me. I understand I have a responsibility. My boss has asked me to work. I can move the plans that I had. I understand that it's important. We have a big client deal. This doesn't happen all the time, maybe once every few months. It's not that big of a deal. I can deal with it. So again, by creating that separation, one thing I've noticed that I'll share while creating YouTube videos is that there will be times when I say something and in my head I mess up. I've said the wrong word, I'm not sure the next word, and I pause, think about what I'm going to say, and then I say it. And in the process of recording this video, it feels like I have been silent for 10 minutes. It feels very uncomfortable. But when I watch the replay back as I'm editing, I don't even notice. Because inside it seems like forever, but on the outside it feels like, just a normal flow of conversation. So you'll find that you have much more time when you're speaking to people to process what's coming into your mind, make a conscious assessment of that thought. I choose to entertain it. I choose not to. Hey, mind, that's a good thought. I didn't think of that on my own. Thanks for throwing that in there. Again, you choose to entertain those random thoughts or you don't. And so the purpose of meditation is to help create that separation, for you to be aware that just because something pops into your mind, it does not define you. It isn't you. It doesn't have to be you. You are in control, and you can choose to entertain that thought or not. So that is the purpose of meditation. The secret is out. So next time you go to sit and meditate, which I do a couple of times a day. I don't sit here for hours and hours. I usually start in the morning or in the evening, 5-10 minutes, something very simple. But what I do is I sit there. At this point, because I've been doing it for years at this point, I have a practice how I kind of get ready and go, and I focus on the nothing, and then as those thoughts start to creep in, it's completely and obviously apparent to me after all of this time, the separation that I didn't think this thought. I was sitting here in silence. I knew what I'm doing. I've been doing this for years. I'm trained, to be in this Zen mode. And all of a sudden I'm thinking about polar bears, right? So you will establish that you are not your thoughts. And at that point, you can begin to then analyze, dissect them, and have control over them. So anyway, mystery solved. Just want to let you know, we're going to continue the series by picking apart a lot of these tips that you'll find online with no context whatsoever. I'll try to give you the mechanics behind it so that you can apply them or maybe choose to do them a different way. Because the reality is do you need to meditate in order to gain this awareness of your thoughts and you are two different things? No, but it helps. It's an easy way to do it. And it's something that they had access to 300-400 years ago before the internet was around. So maybe you can skip meditation altogether. Maybe meditation is exactly what you need. But again, the purpose of it is to create that space in between, you and your thoughts, and to be aware that they are not necessarily you. You pick and choose what you entertain. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. I appreciate everyone's time. Please like, subscribe, follow, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you.